mic is functioning properly. Oh, yes, this is, of course, my Twitch page, but enough about that. Today we are discussing, is there any cars to be excited about anymore? I'm talking about gas-powered cars. There's not really many diesel-powered cars at all. It's mostly just diesel-powered trucks in the stateside in the Americas. But in terms of gasoline-powered cars, that new ones coming out that I'm excited about, they're kind of dwindling. They've been dwindling over the past few years. For one example, Dodge said Hellcats, your last chance to buy a Hellcat is, I want to say, the end of 2023. That's it. So start saving now for your Christmas present if you're buying it yourself, because that's, it's like a $70,000 car. The Challenger or Charger Hellcat, and there's many variants, and they go up in trim level. But I've always liked naturally aspirated, high revving engines. And the one that really got my motor running when it came out, I still remember watching the reveal. Well, technically I think it debuted as a 2015 model, but it is, of course, the GT350 from Ford. The one of the Shelbys, the flat plane crank 5.2, you all know it, 8250 RPM redline. And I'm sure people have gotten them tuned and extracted a little bit more power, if not to mention if they boosted them, twin turbo, supercharged. But even with just a tune and a full exhaust and what have you, because I'm pretty sure the cold air intake is already super optimized. I don't know if you can go better in the aftermarket, but what if with a tune the red line shot up to like 8,500? It's just absolute madness. This is one car that I would love to drive, at least just test drive, while I can still drive stick, while my body still functions, and my arms and legs and my brain and everything functions as it should, because as a young guy it does so far. No accidents, knock on wood, healthy, all that jazz. So yes, I would love to drive one of these naturally aspirated, super high revving, flat plane crank powered Mustangs, because that's the only one that's come out with a flat plane crank. But of course that's old news, because that went away in 2020. That was your last chance to get a brand new one. And me being 25 years old in 2020, I didn't have the money to drop like 50 some grand on a GT350, much less a R model, which was like upwards of 75 grand, something crazy like that. So I missed out on that. So for all the people that could afford one and bought one, good on you, very good on you. So not many newer cars coming out that I'm excited about, and I'm comparing this to when I was in high school and the 2013 Ford Mustang GT500 came out, and then as well the I want to say the Camaro ZL1 debuted in 2012, that body style. And what else did we have? And then we were coming up on the C7 generation of the Corvette, coming out in 2014. So right around high school, senior year, and graduating the year after, lots of cool cars that got me super pumped. And of course, while I was in college, they dropped the update to the Challenger, but mainly that's when they debuted the Hellcat, and that got me so excited about cars. Those four cars got me so excited about cars like I had never been pumped up before. So what do we have left in 2021 going into 2022? We of course have the C8 Corvette. Now the base one came out mid-engine. It's amazing, right? Of course, yes. Keeping up with the Italians and the British, the McLarens, the Ferraris, or emulating their layout with the mid-engine layout, rear-wheel drive, and just pushing the performance benchmark further at a relatively cheap price, compared to their competition, compared to the Porsches and the I was gonna say the 720S from McLaren, but that's almost a hypercar. I would say more like their sports series, like a 570S. I'll say that. and then the Ferrari, whatever. Ferrari, I kind of lost interest in the Ferrari, to be honest. After like the 458 and the F12 are some of my favorite modern Ferraris. And then you can throw in the wagon, the GT4 Lusso, or the FF. Yeah, just the FF. That was the one that was like, oh, that's. I am amazed that they would have made a Ferrari in a hatchback variant like that. I love that. So for going into this new year, at the current time, it's almost 2022. It's December 27th as we speak, 2021. You get a coupe Corvette, as shown. It's $81,000. Convertible's another $10,000, but of course it must be like maybe a 2LT, maybe even a 3LT trim level, because it still starts around the 60s or whatever. But what I want to look at is not the 6.2 liter LT2. I want to look at that flat plane crank, high revving, high strung engine that the Corvette is kind of copying the GT350, in my opinion, because Ford did it first. They always, not always, but they usually do something first, and then Chevy goes ahead and does it. I'm not going to say copy, but emulate, whatever you want to say. They end up going that way because Ford just always gets there first, it seems like, with, whether it be flat plane crank, whether it be, selling cars overseas, like they were selling the S550 across the pond over in Europe and whatnot, because I think the Camaro didn't do that until the Mustang started doing that. It's not to say that both are great from both brands. Okay, so I'm trying to get you all to the Z06. Okay, so 3LT starts at 72, as shown in that video above was 81. So it's got to be a 3LT optioned up. I want to see the Z06. Where are we at? Maybe it's upcoming. There we go. Upcoming. Oh, so it's going to be a 2023 model, but of course it'll be available to buy in 2022. Available summer 2022. So I thought it was going to look a lot crazier than just the base C8 Stingray. Of course, every time I see a car online, when I see it in person, it's way better in person, almost always better in person. So I love this ruby red color, though, that we're seeing here. And actually, when you get a shot of the front up close, right, almost there, kind of right there. I got with that really close up, I got like a vibe of the C7 Stingray, actually. I didn't realize that. I always thought the C7 and C8 were fairly different in styling, but when you get an up-close shot like that, they actually look pretty similar. So here we go. This one maybe has the Z07 package on it or something to that effect, but with the wing, the front splitter, oh yeah, that's good. That's very good. Even though the color's okay, it's a yellow. I'd prefer like a blue. I'd even go for a green, maybe even an orange, but here we go. 8,600 RPM redline, 2,000 RPM higher than the Stingray. So the Stingray goes to 6,600. The GT350 from Ford went to 8,250. So Z06 has that beat out by 350 RPM. But the only thing I wonder about is longevity, because some people buying these cars as they get more and more expensive over the years, because of course they're pushing far beyond what the previous iterations of their respective models did, but for the people buying these cars, I wonder if some of them, if they're just regular working class people like me who have just saved up for years and years, if you blew a motor by chance or grenaded your transmission, these parts have to be so expensive nowadays to replace. Like, I'm rocking it with a 1995 Mustang GT with the last year, the 5.0, the pushrod, and I know it's everything. I'm on a budget. That's what I can afford these days. But like, me blowing out my engine versus someone blowing up their GT350 engine or a Corvette Z06 engine, whether it be just the Stingray LT2 or this LT5, I think it's called. It's got to be a huge, huge price difference. But all I'm hoping is that the people who buy these take good care of them. So one day, when I actually save up enough money, I can buy some of these cars pre-owned and still enjoy them. But at least go for a test drive on one of these, because it just, on paper, they just sound like so much fun. And another thing too, cars nowadays in this decade and in the 2010s, they have gotten the performance versions of cars have gotten so incredibly powerful, so incredibly fast. Like going back to my Mustang, and it makes 215 horsepower. It's just nothing. It's like a third of what cars make nowadays. Like, look at this, 670. That's like, if you think about it, if you're just going out on the street, most people just they own cars, they drive them on the street, they have fun. Maybe they take them to the drag strip every once in a while, but most people are on the street. So like, if you have 400 horsepower on the street, you're pretty darn fast. And then you just go and add almost 300 more on top of that. And these Corvettes are fairly, they're fairly light compared to cars coming out nowadays, which a lot of them are, some of the Mustangs are over 4,000 pounds, Challengers 4,500 pounds almost, in a red-eye form, or red-eye trim, I believe. So Corvette is, still in the 3,700 pound range, if I'm not mistaken. But still, that is just an insane amount of horsepower. And you're just driving around the street, and dude, the responsibility that you have to try to have, the self-control. Like, how do you have self-control when you have a red line of 8,600 RPM and the sound must be amazing, just amazing. So all of this is great, right? It's, the pinnacle, the golden age of horsepower, horsepower from combustion engines, from gasoline-powered engines. So I feel like, as a younger guy, I'm watching it all unfold before we switch over to electric. Now, on the electric front, the only one I'm even going to reference in this video is the Plaid, because the Roadster is not out yet. So you look at this Plaid, 1,020 horsepower. We were just looking at 670 horsepower. Go and add almost 400 more. Yes, the Model S is pretty heavy. It's maybe, yes, okay, here we go, curb weight, but once you add in all your people and stuff, a little over 5,000 pounds, but still, just absolute insanity. Oh, I didn't realize it was a staggered setup. 255 wide in the front, 285 in the rear. I did not know that. But once we get into this electric age, cars are just going to be even more faster, because that's, Americans have always liked fast cars, going back to at least the 60s, and I'm just, conjecturing here, because I was nowhere being alive then. But once we get these electric cars on the road, and they're all over the place, they're just going to be so incredibly fast, so much faster than these gasoline-powered cars that we currently have. Like, you just have to, we've seen videos on YouTube of Teslas at the drag strip just smoking GT500s, various Chevys, various Dodges, Hellcats are losing to, Teslas and other. Soon it'll be other electric cars. It's just completely bonkers. So just enjoy this golden age we're living in. Even though it's transitioning into electric, it's going to be okay, because we'll still have, as long as they don't outlaw gasoline cars being on the road, or outlaw gas stations, or jack up the price of gasoline per gallon, then we can still enjoy the gasoline cars for many years to come. Because, there's some cars that came out when I was in high school in like 2012, 2013 that I would love to get my hands on one day. So I just hope I can enjoy those. But also, let's also get ready for the electric revolution. And let's get ready to enjoy some fast electric cars that I'm sure Chevy, Ford, and Dodge, amongst, to not to mention all the other car makers, will have performance versions of their electric cars. I just know it. That's how it always goes. There will always be a base model and then a higher trim, and maybe even a higher trim above that. So, yes, too bad I can't be sitting in a Z06 myself or a GT350 to bring you this video. I'm just sitting in my computer chair because I don't have that kind of cash money. But, and also, a lot of these cars, they just look so good. The styling, they're just the whole package. The styling, the handling, the power, the interior. Because, you know, like I said, I'm coming from a 95 Mustang GT with I have a radio. I have air conditioning. What else do I have? I have fog lights. Not much else. I have a rear defroster. Not much else in terms of features. So, yeah, these newer cars are just, they're just amazing. They're just downright amazing. Oh, we get a little color palette teaser here. Okay, the blue is definitely, I like that. Let's see if they flash back to it. Yep, right there. That blue, that's incredible. I'd have to go for that for sure. The price, though, I'm only wondering about the price because the price is going to be insane. And the fact that you can get this Z06 in convertible too is, that's just excess, man. That's just pure excess. Of course, I don't know. I'd probably take a coupe, I guess. I don't know if the top, like the target top, is removable like in past Corvettes. But if it, I don't know, I mean, if you get the money, you're just gonna get whatever you want, honestly. Corvette Concierge now. So yeah, enjoy this golden age. Enjoy the moments while they're here, because they're going to be gone one day, and one day there will be no more naturally aspirated gasoline performance cars coming out of the factories. Unless, for whatever reason, the electric revolution doesn't work out and we revert back, but to be honest with you, I just can't see it happening. So, enjoy this last decade. I'm just going to call it, I'm going to say we got 1 decade left of gasoline-powered performance cars, and V8s in particular. So live it up while you can, and I'll try to as well. Try to get my hands on a few of these cars if I can, just to test drive them at least. Oh my goodness! Just take another look. Oh, and it's all put together. See, that's a work of art right there. When the whole thing's together, that is a work of art. Let's take a look at the cylinder heads. And if you just think about it, you know, there was some performance cars, like, you know, budget-friendly ones in the 90s. Like, you had the 96 and up Ford Mustang Cobra with a 32 valve. Kind of, a little bit of a higher ripping engine, all the way at 6,800 RPM, I believe. And not that high revving is the end-all, be-all, best thing. I'm just differentiating it from the pushrod engines that have always been around since, you know, maybe the 40s, if not earlier. And some of y'all will have to correct me on that fact, but, you know, in the 90s, there was a sparing amount of 32-valve motors. You know, there was, the C4 ZR1 had one, but that was a Lotus engine with the 32 valves. And anyone else? There might have been, yeah, here and there might have been a few others, but, you know, we've been enjoying dual overhead cam for basically since the 90s, I would say. You know, kind of in mass production, so to speak, with, you know, many different cars having dual overhead cam, because, you know, for a while a lot of the cheap cars were single overhead cam, and, you know, just just for to make like an economy car. But man, dual overhead cam, high revving, and then you add in flat plane crank on top of that. That to me just invokes, you know, something in you when you drive it. That's got to be such an experience. That is, I would say, started in, you know, high-end cars, maybe like Lamborghinis, and it's slowly trickled down over the years to more affordable cars. Dual throttle bodies, triple tuning valves, yes. Yes, please. Alright, that's all I got for now. I just want to go on a little tangent here with naturally aspirated cars and a call to enjoy them while you can, because, you know, with emissions regulations getting stricter and stricter every year. I think the Mustang just got downgraded for 2022 down to from 460 horsepower down to 450 horsepower because we got to meet these CAFE standards. You got to get a certain amount of miles per gallon, and it's just, you know, if we could just have one last hurrah, just like the craziest gasoline powered cars come out before we switch over to electric, that would be my wish. That's my Christmas wish, my New Year's wish for the next 10 years. So America, make it happen. All right, see ya.